President of Pragna Bharati, Telangana, Shirish Dopeshwarkar ji. Shirish ji, can you please do a brief intro of our organization? Shirish.
Namaste. Namaste and welcome to this virtual meeting. I am Shirish Dopeshwarkar. I am here to welcome you all on behalf of Pragna Bharati, our chairman Padma Shri, Dr. Hanuman Chowdary ji, our 11-member advisory council, and our team. Today's virtual meet is to mark the, 15th National Civil Services Day. We have with us today eminent personalities from the civil services, Sri J.Satyanarayana ji, Dr. S.K. Joshi, and Sri Jayesh Ranjan ji. We also have with us Sri L.V. Subrahmanyam ji, who is a retired chief secretary of Andhra Pradesh government. This topic listed today is technological innovations in delivery of public services. It would have been quite an unusual topic before 2014, but the way central government has decided to implement its programs for the benefit of masses, digitalization and technology innovation has become the need of the hour to reach millions in the remote corners of the country. Technology innovations is connecting government with the masses and civil administration, which is the backbone of the government in terms of implementing the programs for the masses, is adopting these innovations to deliver the government programs. I have great pleasure in welcoming today's speakers. Speaking about Pragna Bharati, we are, as most of us know, we are a forum of nationalist thinkers. Started 20 years back, our aim is to promote nationalistic view on issues of national interest and foster unity of thought amongst nationalists from all walks of life. To achieve this, we work through different ways. First is the 4 Ps, but first is the public awareness. We hold public meeting, roundtables, seminars, etc. Also Zoom meetings. We undertake publications. We do the Puraskar annually for eminent persons in our national life. And we also pick up patriots to carry out their programs and reach their views to the masses. We have conducted hundreds of programs in last 3 decades. And we have a state level and district level team. Padma Shri Dr. T. Hanuman Chowdary ji has been our founder chairman and also continues to guide us even now. Today, the Zoom meeting on technology innovations will see the eminent speakers giving the practical examples of how technology innovations has helped, enabled them to implement the government programs. I thank everyone, including the speakers and the participants, to today's program, and request Chandrasekhar ji to take it forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shirish ji.
Chandrasekhar, I will just make a prefatory one after that too. After you, I will make a prefatory introduction.
Yes. Next, that is the step, sir. Okay, now, as Shirish ji has introduced Chowdary ji already, Hanuman Chowdary Garu has been one of the founding members of our organization Pragna Bharati. As you all know, he's a Padma Shri awardee as well. He's our current chairman of the organization Pragna Bharati. He had been the chairman of BSNL, a telecom organization as well. We are very happy to be working under his guidance and taking this organization forward. Now, I request Sri Hanuman Chowdary Garu to extend the opening remarks for this evening session. Chowdary ji.
Namaskar to all my colleagues who are participating in this. Let us first pay a tribute to the wonderful great man Sardar Patel, who out of ICS transformed the ICS into Indian Administrative Service. While inaugurating that one, Sardar Patel said, "We congressmen, we have been agitators. We don't know how to govern. We depend entirely upon you. And we know that you are very, very patriotic and loyal to the government. I am going to provide you constitutional guarantees for your security and safety. We have to be very, very objective. And I would like to illustrate this with one instance. There was one JVP committee, Jawaharlal Nehru, Vallabhbhai Patel, and Pattabi, which, as a Congress party, recommended the creation of Andhra Pradesh out of Madras state. When the Home Minister Sardar Patel was to implement that one, he took that file, called the secretary, the then Secretary of Home, H.V.R. Iyengar, and said, "You please read this report and give a comment." H.V.R. Iyengar said, "Sir, this report is given by you and Jawaharlal Nehru and Patel. How can I differ from that one?" Then Patel said, "Am I paying you 5,000 odd rupees to be your master's voice? No. You use your independent mind, exercise it, and see and write what is wrong, right?" And then H.V.R. Iyengar wrote, "Andhra Pradesh should not be carved out of Madras." Sardar Patel accepted. That is the greatness of Sardar Patel. Now, friends, with us, we have Dr. J.Satyanarayana, as Secretary of the Department of IT in the late 1990s, and then as Secretary Government of India in the Information IT. He has done wonderful, great service. The original thinker, totally devoted to his craft. I call it a craft because he designed several programs. And while Secretary IT in the government of Andhra Pradesh, the pioneering work of video conferencing in government was started by him, and so many innovations. When he went to Delhi, he perfected, and almost every department he could produce statistics just at the tip of his fingers whenever whosoever he wanted. I welcome him and I pay a tribute to Dr. J.Satyanarayana. And in the others, Jayesh Ranjan, currently IT Secretary Government of Telangana State, is building upon what has been done in Andhra Pradesh and elsewhere in the whole of the country. It is great that Joshi with all his experience is with us, and all of us have seen the results. I will just express a few wishes and stop it. For example, Right to Information Act. I've been asking for a directory. How do citizens get the information that they want when they don't know whom to address correctly? So a directory of all the information officers in all departments of the states as well as the government of India should be prepared. Then the ministries, there are changes very often, but they don't update the websites. Therefore, we don't get the current numbers and names of the people, etc. These are some of the things, and the service centers that are there are becoming, in fact, redundant, although they serve some because of the very intelligent hand-held smart telephones that we are having, which are replacing the tabletops and the laptops and by these handhelds. So government is using technology. We want to digitalize every aspect, and information is the greatest resource. Lastly, I was shocked recently when the Kendriya Vidyalaya, in taking the fees, has included computer education as separately from the tuition fees. When computer use is necessary from the maid servant to the Prime Minister, instruction in that one, why should it be a charge extra? These are some of my observations. I'll stop at this and make way for the experts who are practicing the information communication technology aids in the governments, in the states as well as in the union. Let them speak. Dhanyavad. Thank you.
Thank you, Chowdary Garu. Now, we have Sri J.Satyanarayana Garu, a retired IAS officer. He has served in key positions at national and provincial levels during his over 40 years of civil service. He has been the former chairman of Unique Identification Authority of India, that is UIDAI, commonly known to everyone regarding the Aadhaar card project. Now, he also has been the secretary, Department of Electronics and IT. In fact, he had been in several roles at several levels, like I mentioned already. He is a thought leader in areas of e-governance, enterprise, architecture, and digital communication. His role was instrumental in making Hyderabad as the favorite hub for information technology. His works, actually, he had some printed works as well. E-government, the science of the possible, and the other one, just to name a few, managing transformation, objectives to outcomes. This is briefly about Satyanarayana Garu. In fact, there's a lot to say about him if I have to, but briefly, keeping the time in mind. So I'm restricting to myself to talk about him. Now, may I request Sri J.Satyanarayana Garu to share his views and opinions on today's topic. Satyanarayana Garu.
Thank you, Chandrasekhar Garu. And first of all, let me give my greetings to all the civil servants serving as well as retired, and all those others who are attending this event on the occasion of National Civil Services Day. So it's, I think it's a privilege and an opportunity to be in the civil service, and I have been fortunate to have worked under great people in my career, including, of course, Sri Chowdary Garu. And whatever I seem to have done or contributed is a result of such guidance and support. So on the occasion of the Civil Services Day, I think I place it on record. The topic is about what can technology do to improve the delivery of public services. So I made just a few slides to explain my experience in this space over the last, especially 2.5 decades. So I hope, Chandrasekhar, you are able to see my screen.
Yes, sir. It's very clear.
Yeah. So I'm calling it making a difference, because unless you make a difference, technology is a waste of resource and time and money. Second aspect is not only making a difference, but creating innovation in the delivery of new type of services, and delivered in a different way is key to the whole thing. So let me more or less, I was following IT all along my service to the point that, some people doubt whether I am in the IAS or some Indian IT service or something like that. So besides that, let me just show the kind of evolution that the public service delivery, the impact of technology on public service delivery over the last 3 to 4 decades. I've been watching it at close quarters, so I thought it's appropriate on this occasion of National Civil Services Day to just recount in a minute. So initially, it started with small computers, and then for internal efficiency of the government, it was used like in the banks and a few government offices. And then the concept of e-governance, where citizen centricity is citizenity. That means citizen is at the center of thing and what is useful to citizen. Next, when the mobiles came on the scene, m-governance, add to the convenience. Then later, the concept of digital transformation. How do you totally change the landscape altogether through innovation and enterprise IT, enterprise architectures. Now, in the current decade, it is the question of agile governance and a lot of emerging technologies, new technologies which have come on the scene. And then the trajectory is, could be very interesting. Like in future, we may have invisible government and visible governance. And ultimately, in the subsequent decades, maybe invisible governance, total citizen is on its own totally, and there is no touch and feel at all, the government. But government does what it has to do, but we are as far into the future and hope that some of us will be able to see that situation. So I have been lucky enough to be, following this kind of a trajectory in my own career over these years. Then this is a list of all the projects that I have been associated with over these years. I've just kept it as a roadmap, starting from the time when the PC, a small PC XT and PC AT was at that is the best that we could have and were in the districts. Onwards, client server system where servers came on the scene, and the this thing expanded, reach expanded, and then on to the internet age where all kinds of services began to be given on the internet, over the internet. And then, of course, as mentioned by Dr. Chowdary well before, the mobile, most of the services today are available on the mobile situation. And on to it, we are going to the era of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and other emerging technologies. So my singular luck has been that right from PC-XT days to these days of supercomputers and artificial intelligence have been, and I have listed here in green and red the kind of projects that I have personally supervised and implemented in my career. And it's a question of, when there is a challenge, there's also an opportunity. So those opportunities need to be seen and done. And some of the projects at the state level and at national level I have been able to contribute to. Like, for instance, e-Seva, Passport Seva, Mi-Seva, e-Thal, and health blueprint for the whole country, and PM Jan Arogya Yojana, and Aadhaar Seva Kendras to make Aadhaar services reachable to the common man, and so on. So this is the kind of a journey I went through, and on the left you see the logos of some of the projects that I'm proudly associated with. So having said that, what are the lessons for us? I have not taken a particular case study because there are so many cases, so many projects. But what is the boiled wisdom out of those projects? I have just summarized that in one slide, which is that e-governance is not about E, but about governance. Technology or E part of it is the secondary. The first thing is look at, how is your house in order first? Look at what are the problem areas, what are the areas for improvement, what are the areas for innovation. So it's about governance. Then you put a technology layer on top of that, it will be really good. The second aspect is do not translate the existing process, but transform them. That is, the easiest temptation is take an existing set of forms and rules and acts and then convert them to a software language and push it into the computer and deliver. This used to happen. In fact, most of the early projects that I was associated with and several people of that time were doing were of this type, that you translate rather than transform. You change, look at fundamental transformation of that sector, and then computerization will add value or e-governance will add value. Third is citizen value is of maximum importance. If you have so many other factors, the top factor that you need to consider, the deciding factor is it adding value? If so, how much value is it adding to the citizen? Then scalability and sustainability, we see pilots, but that's not unless they're built to scale and built to sustain financially and organizationally, we'll see the fall of so many projects. That's another lesson that we learned, that you build scalability and sustainability at the early stage of the project design itself. Building capacities and competencies at various levels is important to see leverage the best benefit out of technology. And to create innovative. Some of the projects became successful because of such people who stood like a rock with their own knowledge. They innovated and really made those projects success. Last but not least is think big, start small, and scale fast. It's very important that while our vision should be really very large, if we try to that's very important, so that your design is keeping that big vision in view, and then you start small and then build it in a scalable manner so that it extends to the whole state or to the whole country eventually. Most of the projects that I have displayed in the previous slides are followed, most of them, the successful ones followed all these principles. So I just wanted to share some kind of the experience out of these. Thus, I want to just show you a glimpse of what is the size of the impact, what is the difference that technology is making in this whole country. In one touch of a button, I'll just open this slide, and you can also review it later. I need to stop sharing and then again reshare it once I just permit me to do that. So it's a very interesting canvas here that you have got. I'll just show that and then close my talk. Yeah. Yeah, you can just see the whole country at fingertips. I hope, Chandrasekhar, you are able to see
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this is one of the projects I just kind of I'm proud of this project, which was done in 2012, just to see what's happening, what is the impact, what is the benefit that people are getting. You can see the real-time count of all the transactions, digital transactions happening. 4,000 odd, 4,021 services. The result of that is available here. 35 billion transactions 1st of January and 2 billions in this current month with just a week to go. So you can see all kinds of things. What are the services which people are taking, and what are the trends? Which are the states? Which are the ministries which are really doing well? Everything is available on the. So all the 4,000 services, you can access it. Any of them, any state, any kind of land record service, health service, whatever, birth and death, recording, etc. So you can avail, from the service directory. Hanuman Chowdary was mentioning about some RTI directory. Similarly, we have a service directory for the whole country, whatever is electronic. In 3 buttons, you can reach that particular state, that particular service. So you can see it's moving in real time with 20-second latency from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. All the public services that are delivered are reflected on this screen within 20 seconds to maximum 1 minute across the whole country. So I just wanted to show this as a example of what is happening in the whole country. Finally, let me conclude by saying that one little thing, what is going to be in the future? I just wanted to spend a minute on that and conclude. So the emerging trends in the public service delivery and the kind of IT innovations are happening. The thinking has gone now from systems to ecosystems, a higher level of thinking, that not only that the government has to deliver, there's a public sector, there's a private sector, there's an NGO, there is civil society, delivering in the same education sector or agriculture sector or health sector. So how do you create an ecosystem? How do you conceptualize an ecosystem? How do you enable rather than try to build everything yourself? The second concept, the second trend is from IT to ET. It can be interpreted as IT to emerging technologies like AI and ML and IoT and other new technologies space. I have illustrated in the earlier roadmap also that currently we are working on a few projects like AI for agriculture innovation, and so on. And AI for cancer, how do you improve a lot of the cancer patients using the latest technology? So the era is again shifting from IT to ET. And lastly, from citizen-centric to citizen-driven systems are getting delivered. That the citizen should not only get the service, but the citizen, he or she should be able to take control of the situation and decide. That is the trend with the right to privacy and so many other agency and choice for the citizen. It's very, very important to be taken care of the design of major projects. So citizen centricity to citizen driven projects is what we're seeing increasingly. We have several examples to give of this which are satisfying the ecosystem, like the health ecosystem or the agriculture digital ecosystem and so on. And similarly, citizen driven, you can see developments like UPI and the projects of that type where the citizen has choice and agency, at the same time protecting the privacy of the data. So these are some of the trends currently happening in the public service delivery. So I stop here and I thank Pragna Bharati for affording me this opportunity to share some of my experiences. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Next, moving ahead to our next speaker in today's program, we have Dr. Shailendra Kumar Joshi ji, popularly known as Dr. S.K. Joshi. He's also a retired IAS officer. He is a senior bureaucrat with about 37 years of experience. He served in both Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. Here in Telangana, he worked as the Chief Secretary of Government of Telangana, we all know. After superannuating in 2019, currently his responsibility currently is as the advisor to Government of Telangana. He is an alumnus of two most prestigious IITs, Roorkee and Delhi. He also holds a doctoral degree, PhD, in the field of public policy. And he also authored some books to his name. And he believes, and he is actually continuing, he believes in continuous work towards bringing change in the society to change the lives for better. So that's his ideology. And without taking much time, now may I request Dr. S.K. Joshi ji, please can you share your opinions and thoughts on today's topic, sir? Joshi ji.
Good evening, everyone. At the outside, I thank Pragna Bharati for organizing this webinar and remembering civil servants. The topic is technological innovation in delivery of public services. And I thought I will take a sector which is very familiar to me, and I will start talking about case study of water sector. As Mr. Satyanarayana mentioned, technology is application of scientific knowledge for practical purposes. And innovation is to every time do something new, so that innovation and technology, they go hand in hand. And I will give you one example of water sector. In India, we know public services. Let me share the screen. Public services are very important. And if we can improve the quality of delivery of public services, we can achieve our full potential as a country. As Mr. Satyanarayana mentioned, again, other sectors based on ICT and other technologies, much work has been done. But an holistic approach has been taken in the water sector, and I will give an example. So I will take my presentation to planning, construction, integration, monitoring, management of water resources. Why it is important? We have to, water is a very precious resource, and we have to ensure that this resource is available not for our present generation, present requirements, but future generation and future requirements, both in terms of quality and quantity. We have to also ensure efficiency, whether it's for storing water or transporting water or distributing water or utilizing water. So improving overall efficiency in different sectors is also very, very important. And in view of climate change, now our society for last 20, 30, 50 years has been accustomed to a particular rainfall in monsoons and off monsoon. But in view of vagaries of nature, both excess and shortfall, how to take into consideration those things are there. And there is tremendous information flow from different sources. From river basin information comes, from evaluation of irrigation systems comes, GIS integrated with MIS, and catchment area project utilizing agencies. So keeping in view what we thought, in cooperation with NRSA, we came to Telangana Water Resources Information System, which is a kind of provides one start. Every information is available there. Say, I will take you back to 2014 when Mission Kakatiya was started, and people wondered what is this Mission Kakatiya. This was the low-hanging fruit because Telangana region was full of water bodies, and at one given point of time there were 84,000 water bodies recorded in early 20th century. So we thought, where are those water bodies? What is the condition of those water bodies? So Mission Kakatiya ultimately started with enumeration, restoration, and rejuvenation of water bodies. Now, this thing, first time we utilized 3 key model, and 3 key model was first digital topo sheet data of Survey of India, because they were prepared somewhere around 1940s or 1930s. So we procured that digital topo sheet data of Survey of India. That was a classified, to our horror, that was classified data which has been now given to us. Then classification and temporal satellite data of different water bodies. And with the help of International Institute of Information Technology, we create something called digital elevation model. Entire geography, depending on the gradient, whether it is sink or channels. And then we corroborated this data, and with field inspection, it was a crowd sourcing. Anybody can upload the information on mobile and this thing. So we came to 84,000 to 45,000 water bodies. Now these water bodies were of different types. Again here, crowdsourcing helped us, which are the anycuts, diversion structures, which are check dams, MI tanks, 100 acre or less. So different water bodies were there, and we classified. Some water bodies were encroached, especially in urban areas. So retrieving those water bodies was very difficult. And then in phase-wise manner, every district, we took up the rejuvenation and renovation of that with a public movement. Now, having done that, because projects were taken up in Andhra Pradesh, erstwhile Andhra Pradesh, in 2004, and after bifurcation, some issues were there with the interstate issues. So we have to do re-engineering and redesigning of water sector projects. And for that, Google Earth was utilized. I will give you an example. And second most important thing was LIDAR. I am talking about use of technologies. For ground survey of 2,882 square kilometer of area, and with defense and all those clearances, this 2,882 square kilometer area with accuracy of 5 millimeter for proper sighting of various structures was taken up both in Godavari and Krishna basin. If you do this kind of survey manually with all resources, it would have taken 15 years. And again, we would have encountered also we did engineers, they were trained, various small softwares were developed. This is the Google Earth. I think first time anywhere in the country, these kind of irrigation structures were planned by Google Earth. Normally what happens, topo sheet, engineers, they design the projects. Here, this is a contour, this could become a canal. This is a hillock. There could be storage tank. But over a period of time, whatever, say, population or new cities or villages have come, topography changes, those changes are not there. So we used to get surprises. They say that this canal can go there, and you know this is the West Godavari or East Godavari district, city or town passing through. So with this kind of technology, the project planning was very, very effective, and we overcame various surprises. Almost 800 hours were spent on Google Earth. Coming to implementation, we used latest construction machinery and technologies. Once upon a time, various sites used to look like a sea dock, where so many mixers, boomers, and other machinery was used. Now, if you use extra machinery, like our highest one-day workforce deployment was 52,000 people in a single day. And with so many machineries around, IoT was used. So resource monitoring, GPS-enabled transit mixers, whether they are idle or they are working, to that extent, technology was utilized. And seamless Wi-Fi network in 4 square kilometer area was used. So everywhere, wherever these barrages are there, Wi-Fi network was established. Monitoring, use of drones. Again, it was a first project in, at least in India, this geographically distributed project. Those of us who are familiar, they will find it so difficult. Personal inspection, one has to go, then terrain is difficult, you can't go. But this drone came very handy. And SCADA, like electricity grid, all of us are familiar. From one place to another place, electricity could be transferred. Now we are in a position to transfer surplus water to deficit places and vice versa. And this photo is over one of the SCADA center. And when British Deputy High Commissioner, he visited, he said, I felt like I am entering into 00 James Bond film set kind of a thing. Now, I will give the complexity of various projects. This is one project where 8 links are there. Link from Lakshmi Barrage, that is Medigadda, to Ellampalli Reservoir, that is the link 1. And it consists of 3 barrages, Lakshmi, Saraswati, and Parvati, 3 pump houses for each barrage, and with 35.87 TMC water and 30,000 acre Ayakat. So this is the kind of challenge, and such 8 links were operational throughout the project. This is one barrage, total length 1.632 kilometer, storage capacity 16.17 TMC. So that is the kind of bulk storage capacity. And I have no hesitation in saying that Telangana can withstand 2 bad monsoons in a row. And if this is a surplus water year, there is no problem. This is the kind of mega pump houses. One pump is power rating is 124.4 megawatt, and 7 such pump in a pumping station. And they are all insulation, gas insulation, because they were underground pumps. Normal pump houses take 7 to 10 acre land. Since they are underground, we have to avoid rock cutting and this thing. So latest electricity, electrical engineering, pump, motors, machinery, whatever technologies were available, we use the latest technologies. This is the kind of reservoirs which we have created, and these reservoirs will in turn feed Mission Kakatiya reservoirs. So the whole thing, everything was planned in a jigsaw puzzles, different pieces were planned, and then it has been executed. Now, coming to the most challenging part is cropping pattern performing vis-a-vis non-performing projects, because various projects are there which are performing and some projects are not performing. This statistics will be very useful. In 2014-15, our gross state domestic product was 5.05 lakh crore. In 2021, it has become 9.8 lakhs crore. And similarly, per capita income 1.24. These are very deceptive numbers per capita, because rich might have become richer, but whatever is existing data, 1.24 per capita income per lakh has become 2.37. And coming to irrigated area gross, it was in 2014 was 76 lakh acre, and due to water shortage, it was only 62 lakh acre. Now it has become 136.86 lakh acre. And you see the in terms of paddy procurement, which has current issue also, but 2014 FCI procured 24.3 lakh metric ton paddy. You see the kind of impact on society this technology driven projects have made. Otherwise, we know that Nagarjuna Sagar project or Sri Salem project took 30 years to complete. So early completion, project cost escalation has been avoided, and early benefit to citizen has been given. In Rabi 2021, 92.56 lakh metric ton was procured, and Kharif till date 62.93, 155, 24.3 has become 155.49 metric ton. So this is the kind of common man, farmer, the income differences they have achieved. So I will just show one slide about drone. Is it visible?
Not yet, sir. The slide is not on yet. Yes,
Now
it is. It is.
so otherwise, physically, it used to be so difficult. Every week we used to get these kind of reports. So where exactly is the problem area, pressure points? This is June 2018, when work was still going on. So this is underground tunnels physically it is impossible to cover. The earlier drone picture was when project was completed. This is still work is going on. I will take it fast so that one used to get complete idea where is the tunnel, what is the condition, tunnel lining, canals, and equipment, because they were GPS tracked. So whether how many trips per lorry they have performed. So this was the scene, underground structures. Just to conclude, I will say use of bouquet of technologies help us in completion of projects as per schedule, providing water security as well as realization of early project benefits. And having said that, system is yet to be consolidated and yet to be integrated with other users like agriculture. This kind of situation when paddy crop has been bountiful, perhaps crop diversification, other things could have been done. So this is, I really once again thank you for Pragna Bharati for giving me this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Our next speaker in today's webinar is Shri Jayesh Ranjan Ji. He is also an IAS officer. Currently, he is the Principal Secretary of Industries and Commerce and Information Technology Departments of Government of Telangana. His assignment involves mainly on developing policy frameworks, roping in new investments, identifying opportunities for utilizing IT in government processes, and promoting digital empowerment of citizens. He has got his MBA degree from IIM Calcutta. He has got his master's in psychology from Delhi University, and he also has another master's degree in public management from a national university of Singapore. He is very active. We all know he's currently involved in so many projects. Like I mentioned, his focus is on those areas which I mentioned just now. Now I request Sri Jayesh Ranjan Ji to share his opinions, thoughts, and case studies on today's topic. Jayesh Ji.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chandrasekhar Garu. Respected Dr. Hanuman Chowdary Garu, respected Dr. Satyanarayana, Dr. S.K. Joshi, Mr. L.V. Subrahmanyam, Mr. A.K. Goyal, various other office bearers of Pragna Bharati, participants, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would also like to convey my greetings on the occasion of Civil Services Day. Today is also another very interesting day. And in fact, I'm right now attending that event also in parallel. Today is the International Day for Innovation and Creativity. So it's a good coincidence that this day is also being celebrated today, because something which I'm going to speak about actually showcases how creativity, how innovation can be utilized to deliver better quality public services using technology. I unfortunately could not prepare a presentation, but I'll like to explain as much as I can through my extempore speech. Telangana, as all of you would know, is a new state. It came into being in 2014, 2nd June 2014, 7.5 years ago. And right from day one, it was very clear. Joshi sir was the Chief Secretary. Mr. Satyanarayana has also been looking at us through UIADI and other lenses that he wears, including that of World Economic Forum. everyone was, Mr. Goyal also has been an advisor from the very beginning. All the advisors, all the senior officers, all the domain experts, intellectuals who are well-wishers of Telangana, each of them was very clear that if Telangana has to make up for the decades of underdevelopment and missed opportunities, then it has to embrace technology in a very big way. And I have been the IT secretary for 7 years now. So a large part of the 7.5 years plus of Telangana story, I have been at the leadership role, of course, along with our minister, Mr. K.T. Ramarao. And we have been very clear in our minds that we have to use technology to alleviate the pain points of the common citizen. Whichever are the challenges, whichever are the problems that the citizens face, if we are able to showcase a technology-enabled solution for that, tomorrow the support for technology, the buy-in for technology will also happen. Many of you would know that there is a very ambitious national program called Digital India. And one of the important components of Digital India is to take digital infrastructure to every household, including providing broadband connectivity using optic fiber cable. So in our state also, we are spending close to 3,500 crores in providing that digital infrastructure. But we are also very clear that unless citizens participate in that digital journey, in the digitalization journey, the infrastructure will be a waste of time and effort and resources. We will not get the buy-in of the common citizens. And therefore, this is the endeavor that every problem that they face, we must be able to provide solutions. And as all of you would know, agriculture is one domain which supports the maximum number of livelihoods, particularly rural livelihoods. And we have decided to introduce technology in a very significant way across different spectrums of agriculture. And since Dr. Satyanarayana sir is here, he's involved in this initiative as well, because the state government is partnering with the World Economic Forum. We have co-created a program which is called Sagu Bagu, and we have identified 80 plus solutions which are of relevance in different stages of the agriculture chain of operations. And with the help of Agriculture University, the Agriculture Department, many of these solutions have been piloted and they have been tested, and many of them are ready to be scaled up. But looking at the theme of the conference today, the seminar today, I would like to give you certain examples about citizen services. As many of us would know, Telangana now and the combined state of Andhra Pradesh, we have been the pioneers in delivering citizen services to people under a program which is called Me Seva. For those who do not follow Telugu, Me Seva literally means services for you. And from almost 2 decades ago, we have been able to digitalize or automate many of the services for which the citizens need to have an interface with the government, what are called G2C services. Today in Telangana alone, we have 600 plus services which are offered under Me Seva, and in Andhra Pradesh also the number is not very dissimilar. But when we were reviewing Me Seva after the advent of the new state of Telangana, we noticed that while we claim that these are all digital and services are very citizen friendly, we have not really reached the pinnacle of how government should be. Today, many of us know that the national government has given a very important objective, which is called minimum government, maximum governance. And this is a slogan which we hear quite frequently. And obviously, if this has to be achieved, if we have to do maximum governance with a very limited visible presence of the government, then it has to be done using technology. But when we recognized or when we evaluated, when we did a deep dive of what Me Seva offers, we found that we have still not been able to reach the ultimate objective. And let me tell you very quickly what this ultimate could be. So we have taken as a reference the country of Estonia. Some of you perhaps may not have even heard of this country. It's a very small country. It is a part of the Baltic nation, part of it. This was a erstwhile Soviet Union. After Soviet Union disintegrated, this became an independent country. It is in the Nordic region. But Estonia today is considered to be the most technologically advanced country in the world. If you ask someone which is the most technologically advanced country, people typically out of ignorance may tell United States or Canada or somewhere. But the truth is that Estonia is far, far superior. than every other country. So in Estonia, what really happens is they follow 4 norms of digital delivery of services. One is called presenceless. So you don't have to go anywhere. All government services are delivered to you at your doorstep. So completely presenceless. You don't need to meet any person at all. No interface with any government official. The second is, so that is contactless or presenceless. The next one is paperless. You don't have to put any paper. I mean, everything is done digitally. You don't need to really write any paper or print any paper or scan any paper. Everything is done digitally. The third motto which they follow is called anywhere. So you don't have to visit some place or an office, or so in India, as we know, we have jurisdiction. So for example, I live in Begumpet. So if there are certain services which I need to avail, I have to go only to that office for which Begumpet is a catchment. But in Estonia, it's all anywhere. And the fourth motto which they follow is anytime. So typically government offices in India have timings. They start at 10 in the morning and at 5 in the evening. But in the digital world, there is no timing. Even at midnight, you can complete your transaction. So we decided that we will study this contactless or presenceless, paperless, anytime and anywhere possibilities for our digital services offered through MeSeva also. So I'm very happy to share that our initial results are very, very successful. And I would like to give 3 quick examples to tell what we have been able to achieve and how we use technology in delivering all that. So the first service that we really targeted was the pension services. As all of us know, after we retire from government services, we become eligible to receive pension from the government. And one of the mandatory expectations of receiving pension is that once a year, you have to physically present yourself before a bank officer or a treasury officer or in some other government office to show to them that you are alive and therefore you are eligible to continue drawing that pension. And obviously, it's very clear that the more elderly you become, the more challenging it will become, the more difficult it will become to go personally. And particularly during COVID times, as you would know, when mobility was restricted, it became even a bigger challenge and many people failed to get their pensions on time also. So what we have done is that using technology, we have created a solution through which you can apply for pension, meet the statutory requirement of visibly being seen by someone as an alive person without going out of your house. And you can do that 24/7. So what we have done is that we have created an AI-based facial recognition algorithm. So let us say I am a pensioner. So what I have to do is that I have to log in that portal which we have created or go to the T-app folio through which this pension services are available. And using a smart camera, I have to take a picture of myself. In popular language, we call it a selfie. So you take a selfie of yourself, a picture of yourself. Now the algorithm detects 2 things. First of all, it tells you whether it is a live picture or a picture of a picture. I can also cheat by pulling out a picture of mine and putting it before the camera. The camera will not distinguish whether it's me as a person or a picture of me. But this algorithm tells you whether a live person is getting his picture taken or is it only a photograph of that person. So first is liveness detection. The second is that in the database that you have submitted to your pension office or to your treasury or your main office, the picture is matched with what picture that you have submitted. And obviously, as you know, as people become elderly, their facial features change. Of course, many of them lose hair, some of them grow a beard, wrinkles appear on your face. So your picture which you have submitted there may be of your young age. And if you look at it today, perhaps the naked eye may not even be recognized that this is the same person with whom you are comparing yourself together. But the algorithm has been trained in such a way that however old your earlier picture is, whatever facial changes it has come, including growing a beard, losing your hair, getting wrinkles, losing your teeth, or whatever has happened to you facially, you will be identified accurately. And I feel very proud to share with you that the accuracy of this algorithm has now crossed 97%. It is 97.6%. In fact, in the technology world, anything above 85% itself is seen as a great kind of a success. To have an accuracy of 97.6% is phenomenal. So this is one part where you are identified. Identification happens using artificial intelligence. The second is that the database search also happens. So of course, pension the database is limited, but there are other applications of this identification-based real-time determination of identification, in which we have millions of people in the database. And as you know, many times, because English is not our native language, we misspell our names when we write when we enter someone's name. So my name, for example, is Jayesh, Jayesh. But in many databases, you will find that either my name is written as Jayesh or Jhyash. I mean, it is misspelled in multiple ways. But again, through machine learning, we have been able to train this algorithm to find out who am I in that database, despite the fact that my spellings may not be matching precisely. So based on image, based on name, and based on one or two other fields like father's name or date of birth, we do not use Aadhaar at all, because many of you would know that Supreme Court has not permitted Aadhaar to be used for these kind of searches. So therefore, this is a database integration where Aadhaar is not used at all as an identifier. So this is one example where we have helped pensioners receive their pension by showing their eligibility of being alive without stepping out of their house, by creating a solution which is called the real-time determination of identity by using artificial intelligence, deep learning, and machine learning. And as I said, this has served more than 60,000 pensioners so far in the state of Andhra Pradesh, has been replicated in various other pension giving associations and organizations, and has become a national role model. We have used the same methodology, the same technology in 2-3 other spheres also, where a person has to go to a government office just to show that he is the correct person. So wherever a identification check is required, we have used this. So I'll give you 2 quick examples. When you have to renew your driving license, we have used this technology now. When you are applying for the driving license for the first time, of course, you have to visit a government office because a physical driving test is conducted. That you can't give virtually, as if, at least not as of now. Later on, when we have advanced simulators, etc., maybe that also can be done by sitting at home. But at least to get your driving license for the first time, you make a physical visit to the office. But when you have to renew it, you don't need to give any test or anything. But still, the rules, the current rules require you to go to an RTA office and just show up saying that, and the physical visit to the RTA office does not add any value to this whole process. Just because it is in the rules, you go there, you show up, and the RTA officer looks at you, signs some papers, that is it. So we have completely removed this personal visit to an RTA office using the same facial recognition technology that I spoke about. And now anyone in Telangana can renew their driving license without visiting anyone, without submitting any paper. It is anytime, irrespective of jurisdiction. And that's a big improvement. Similarly, for degree college admissions, we have started this. And the last example which I want to show, which I want to explain, that is something which is very, very revolutionary. We have just done a small pilot in a limited sample size, but it has made waves all over the country. And this is something which is remote voting. We have been able to demonstrate that the entire election process can be conducted in this country without anyone stepping out of their home, which is something which Estonia does. So I mentioned in the beginning that our benchmark is Estonia. We have learned how Estonia does, and we have done it. We have decided to do it in a better way. So apart from the facial, because in the electoral process, apart from identifying who the voter is, there are 2-3 other important things, which is to preserve the sanctity of the vote, to ensure that there is no tampering. Right now, as all of us know, even the EVMs are under question. People who lose the elections typically find a very easy excuse to say that someone tampered or hacked the EVM. So this again is a very important point to kind of satisfy when we are offering a remote voting solution. So we have used blockchain. Blockchain, as some of you would know, is a very important technology today, which keeps all the records in a proper chain by ensuring that no one has access to violate that chain. No one can hack that chain or tamper with that chain. The moment you require multiple permissions to do that, to make any change in that chain. That is the literal meaning of blockchain. It was introduced in the context of cryptocurrency, but today has found multiple other usages. So in Khammam town of Telangana state, with a sample size of about 8,000 voters, we were able to demonstrate that all these 8,000 voters can vote by sitting at home. It's a 3-step process. First of all, you have to register the mobile device through which you are voting. And we have taken certain checks and balances, certain precautions there, that the same mobile phone is not used by hundreds of voters to vote. So that is one precaution we have taken. How do you register your mobile in advance? Second, as I told, is identification of voter is very important. The election booth where we go and vote, that is one very important thing, that your epic card, your photograph, everything is matched. There are polling agents who can raise a challenge if they think that you are impersonating someone. So the same selfie-based identification mechanism that I explained earlier, that has been introduced, and the sanctity of the vote till it is counted has been preserved using this very strong immutable blockchain layer. So the sum and substance of what I'm trying to share is that there are innumerable technologies. The examples that I gave include the application of artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep tech, blockchain, but there are multiple others. We saw Joshi sir explain how drones have been used, how monitoring the dashboards have been used. There's so many, more than a dozen plus emerging technologies. The latest is metaverse, the latest is AR, VR. There's innumerable technologies which are available today. And our effort in Telangana is to include all of these either singly or in combination to ensure that, first of all, we reach Estonia levels of paperless, contactless, anytime and anywhere. And so secondly, all these technologies are used to solve the pain points of citizens. So as I mentioned, we have made good progress in the last 7.5 years, but there are hundreds of other opportunities that we still need to conquer further. And we are continuously striving to ensure that Telangana's reputation of being a technology-driven state that remains intact. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity, and Civil Service Day greetings once again to all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jayesh, for your detailed and quite an informative talk. Now, we have almost come towards the end of the session. I've got a small announcement to the audience. If you want to ask any questions to any of our speakers, please raise your hand using the hand raise feature on your device so that we would know and you can be given an opportunity. Now, can I ask Shri L.V. Subrahmanyam Garu, the former Chief Secretary, Andhra Pradesh, to share his closing remarks on today's session. L.V. Subrahmanyam Garu.
Thank you so much, Chandrasekhar. Thank you so much, everyone else there, Sri Chowdary Garu, and all my good friends from the civil service ranks. As you have seen, we have heard 3 distinguished speakers, and it's not just a coincidence that you have one from the 70s, one from the 80s, and one nearly from the 90s batches, talking about how they have used technology in enhancing public satisfaction by stretching the technology to deliver services. We have immensely benefited from their presentations, very crisp, very, very clear, to the point, and that shows the mark of excellence which is pervading the civil services. I'm very grateful to all the 3 of them, and through them, we once again remember the relentless efforts of the civil servants in this country who are striving to improve the quality of public administration at various levels. It is quite known that several of such great initiatives are not recognized adequately, and sometimes we also fall into this trap to think whether the civil service has become irrelevant in the current context. But today, the 3 speakers have put to rest any such kind of a thinking that public servants, civil servants can make tremendous difference if their mission is clear in their minds, and if they are given the freedom to design the projects, the freedom to deliver goods. As so rightly pointed out by Sri J.Satyanarayana Garu, e-governance is not about just E, it is about governance. And I immensely like that statement, because there is always a feeling in various people that if you put a computer there, if you put a CC camera there, perhaps greater efficiency has walked into the system. No, he clearly said, it is not just translating the processes, it is to transform them. And we've also seen how Dr. Joshi has so beautifully pointed out that escalation of project costs has been a great anathema in our public services. Every project has undergone revision. And if you look at the Nagarjuna Sagar project as an example, the initial estimate and the final estimate, please pardon me if I say, it is a rolling estimate, that no point of time we can ever think that Nagarjuna Sagar project is going to get completed. So he beautifully explained how IT has helped him to bring almost 52,000 people working at various places in the projects, using of drones to examine the project progress, SCADA, and I mean, these are all the things which are of great relevance. And then he has also touched upon the unfinished tasks of the agenda when he talked about the cropping pattern and how the cropping pattern has to still undergo change. Similarly, Jayesh has so beautifully brought out the three examples. And when he talked about the pension services, the driving license, the renewal of that, then the remote voting, each of these examples point out that there is great hope that services quality would further undergo change as days go by, because these civil servants, they are not idle, they have not rested their minds. They're still very active. They are agog with all the latest developments. They're looking at case studies which are of more relevance to this country, to the state, to the district, to the village, to the farmer. So they're going right down up to that and seeing how technology can make great inroads in public administration. I thank all the three of them for their wonderful presentations, and I've immensely benefited. I made all the notes, and I thank Dr. Hanuman Chowdary Garu for those for capturing the words of Sardar Patel, whom we recollect today as a father figure of civil service in this country. I once again pay my grateful thanks to the father of civil service, Sardar Patel, for convincing the Congress party and the parliament at that point of time that let's not look at ICS as a force of the enemy. We wanted them to have an affectionate look at the civil service. And he also, so beautifully brought out by Dr. Hanuman Chowdary for the JVP report and how he agreed with the civil servants' opinion. I thank all the three of them, and I immensely benefited. I thank Mr. Chandrasekhar for so nicely. You always do it so nicely, so beautifully, very sensitively. You appreciate the speaker's concerns. You brought the seminar to such a wonderful experience. I thank you. I thank everyone for this opportunity to say a few words in terms of understanding what the speakers have spoken. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Subrahmanyam, for rounding up and summarizing what has been said by all the former speakers. Thanks once again to you. And we have a couple of questions from the audience. Before that, I just want to ask a small question before asking the questions from the audience. I request any of the speakers to answer this. In fact, this is a general opinion. In today's time of science, communication, and technology, we are able to see so many developments day after day, we find a lot of advancements in technology and communication as well. And even in this age, when people are supposed to be treated as supreme, commonly what a common man feels is that he's always at the receiving end. He has a lot of suffering and he's not getting what he's eligible for. And that is the common feeling amongst the common citizens. And a lot of announcements of projects or policies, they get announced day after day. But then when it comes to the completion of these projects or implementation of policies, we don't really see, and some of them, we don't know how far they are and what is happening. So that's the common feeling in the common people in the society. So people basically what they feel is they're taken for a ride, be it by the politicians or whoever is responsible. Now, in fact, I remember reading in one of the interviews by Joshi ji also, he said somewhere that we got Swarajya in 1947, but Surajya is still a dream. So I'm just wondering what comment you have on this feeling of the public. I request any of you, sir, please, can you comment on this? How far we are, or are we on the right track? And is there any momentum in this aspect?
Can I respond?
Yes, sir, please go ahead, sir.
See, you have raised a very touchy question, and that is the crux of public administration. Our public governance system is considered as a weak state, at least till 9-10 years before. And whoever wants to do, you can get away with that. But as a society, we are a very strong and resilient society. And all the hardships, whether going to any office or getting our work done, our people are have great level of tolerance, if I may say so. That is point number one. Number two is India, like a country where there is a mismatch between available and required resources. Our problems are thousands and we have resources for 100. So you have to do very fine balancing act. And third point is our challenges, which is the crux, and that needs a continuous efforts due to implementation of rule of law, lack of accountability, subjectivity in decision making, quality of infrastructure, and the last but the most important point is mindset of many public servants, both elected and selected. So these are some of the problems. So people are still looking for Suraj.
Okay, great, sir. But just an extension to this, do you think is there any restriction or control when it comes to the implementation or implementation of the policies or these any rules, government orders, whatever, when it comes to the implementation? What is it? Is it really flexible or is it restricted totally or totally controlled? Because they don't really receive what they are eligible for. That's what is the feeling. So what is your opinion on that?
Say, policies are made by people's representatives and we have to implement. What was Sardar Patel's time when he said, my report you examine? Now, how many of us can say these kind of a thing? But I fully agree with Satyanarayana Garu and later on supported by LV. Technology is just a tool, not an end objective by itself. And technology can enhance transparency, accuracy, and objectivity. Suresh Chandra has done something which has been stopped. So our problem is everybody tries to invent the wheel once again. Whatever has been done by his predecessor, that people think now we should do something. Like Suresh Chandra made a compulsory for issuing any government order, it should be made public on the web portal. Hanuman Chowdary Garu Adgaru, right to information. Where is right to information? Acts are on the statute books, but where it is implemented, to what extent it is implemented. So some of these questions, what you call our governance, has to improve a lot. Many tremendous improvement has taken place, but it's still a long way to go.
Right, sir. Thank you so much. Now, we have Suresh Chanda from the audience. Sir, you are unmuted. Can you please ask your question?
Yeah, thank you so much. My question is to Jayesh Ranjan, Principal Secretary IT. When the government is thinking, government of Telangana is thinking, when it is going to say or put a target for itself that all public services will be online or through third-party agencies. My second question is continuation is that when government is thinking the grievance redressal as a service, grievance redressal as a service. Today, grievance redressal, a lot of apps are there. We file a complaint, but we don't know what happens. So grievance redressal as a service. And second thing is whether government is thinking to put target for itself, say next 12 months or 18 months, all its services will be online or third-party agencies. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So thanks for asking these questions. The answer to the first question is that to the best of our knowledge, all services are already online for so many years. There are 650 services, and particularly all the important services which have large number of users, they are all online. But as I confessed in the very beginning, all of them do not meet the standards of paperless or contactless or anytime or anywhere, which is the direction that we are moving into. But everything is online. There's no service which has a reasonably large size user. For example, you may tell that there is a service where once in a year, 5 people use. So maybe we have not made it online, but by and large, services which have large number of users, they are all online. So the second question is that regarding grievance mechanism, there is no challenge in giving a technology solution. I mean, I can very easily create a portal through which people can file their grievances online. They can track where those grievances are and things like that. I mean, this is a very elementary technology. Today, college students are given these kind of projects to do to show that they have learned some technology, etc. So from a technology point of view, it's a very rudimentary kind of thing. In the government, there is the confidence that the back end is ready to handle these kind of grievances. That is still not there. As all of us know, you have also been a part of civil services. In the name of grievances, many people have wish lists. So that is the challenge, that the confidence in government that if I open up a public portal where people can post grievances, monitor, at the end of the day, someone can tell that 80% of the grievances are unresolved. It brings a reputational loss to Telangana. So it's more of a back-end issue. The day the whole of the government feels confident that even if it shows that 80% of the grievances are unresolved, at least the ones which immediately impact the citizens, these are not wish list kind of grievances, but a genuine problem that he is facing, which has an immediate solution. As long as we are solving them, I don't bother whether 80% is shown as unresolved or 90% is shown as unresolved. It'll happen. But from a technology point of view, I as the IT secretary can only introduce the technology part. And this is a very rudimentary technology. First year engineering students develop this technology.
Thanks so much, Jayesh. Wonderfully answered. Ashok Vardhanji, please unmute and ask your question.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Thanks, Chandrasekharji. As someone who is coming from an IT industry, I'm really excited to really listen to Satyanarayana Garu. I've been part of the company which implemented ePragati, and selling enterprise architecture to politicians and implementing it is still a case study which is taught here, and then we go to that in our enterprise architecture. similar to what was asked on the redressal, grievance redressal. There is a lot which can be done with the technology, with cloud, with blockchain, AI, ML, and all. And at the same time, there is a lot of pain from citizen point of view that their problems are not getting solved. In terms of implementing an IT solution, right? Government is the biggest enterprise in terms of scale, width, and depth. I know there are challenges in implementing it, but then I think in this journey we are probably a lot of IT companies are there. So many engineers are getting graduated, but still we don't see the level of implementation of IT in government policy and in the programs. There is a huge gap. How do you think we'll be able to meet this gap? And it's a huge scale. It's a huge scale in terms of complexity, in terms of politics, in terms of change management, project management, infrastructure, in every aspect, data privacy and policies itself. Right? But do you think, are we on the right trajectory? And how many days or years do you think we take to get to a state where we have, as a citizen, a reasonable amount of comfort as IT is delivering to our grievances?
Chandrasekhar, should I answer?
Yeah, please, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Ashok, for that question. Let me just relate some anecdote. When I was collector, and likewise probably LV and Joshi, the social pensions, which used to be only 25 to 30,000 in a district, used to be sent by money orders in those days, right? From there, today we have come to a situation where, and the money order were not reaching and pensioners were suffering. And I remember one old lady pensioner walked 70 kilometers to see the collector just to record that grievance that I didn't get a pension for 6 months. I'm just begging my day-to-day basis. From those days, now pensions are being sent on the 1st of the month, possibly by 5th of the month, electronically to the concerned bank account. So in these 3 decades, we have seen that only I am giving one example. Similar transformation or change or improvement has happened in several sectors. On a positive side, I'm saying it's a never-ending process. It's a continuous process. The improvement in the public service delivery. I have 2 radical suggestions, or 2 suggestions, I would say, in this area for the future generations. One is there is need for redefining what is e-governance in the ranks of. I mentioned that e-governance is not about but about governance in the slide, which LV mentioned. But I also have a view that e-governance should be empathetic governance. No technology, nothing. If you have empathy with the person, put yourself in the shoes of the other person. I think this kind of a feeling, this kind of education, this kind of a culture, we need to inculcate. Not only in the government employees, I'm not saying that this is across in the society itself. Empathy is what is there. So e-governance should, in future, and mean empathetic governance is one suggestion, which will make things a lot more different from what they are today. The second concept, of which I have talked at a few places, is serviceless service. Meaning, is it necessary to kind of create some rule and make a service out of that rule? Can we abolish that rule altogether, which is anachronistic, which was written decades or centuries ago? Abolish that, heavens or hell will not break loose. So serviceless service, by abolishing a service, by removing that service, you are serving the people. Is another suggestion that, I mean, to reduce the complexity. Already government has so much else to do. Why not cut the, number of challenges, which you don't create a challenge in the first instance. So these two sessions, still, I do agree that that's the reason why not many people know how many people are we serving, how many in this country of 130 billions. So that is the reason why precisely I had shown this particular ETHAL website, which shows that in 20 days, we have given 2 billion, 2000 million, every day 10 million, 1 crore transactions are happening. Real time, as you see, the clock was ticking, the number was rolling like in a petrol bunk, right? So it shows that significant amount is happening. Things can be further improved. I mean, there is no limit to innovation. There is no limit to, it's a question of, creating the enabling environment. And it's not merely civil service, it's the entire society, all wings and walks of life. They have to think in these lines, and then absolutely will fill the gap as much as possible. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Now, can we have Naveen Kumar Vannam? Please unmute yourself and ask your question, sir. Naveen Kumar Vannam.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you, sir. Please go ahead.
Sir, actually, first thing is today it's really the inspirational speech and presentation for youngsters. I'm really thankful to by three.
Please ask your question straight away.
And today, and one more thing is today really we have seen the real administrators, those who are really running the government successfully beside the political system. And because what we learn from these three is those are really passionate about the technology and scientific knowledge. Because unless until the administrations coupled by passion of technology and scientific, so we are really learned one thing from the great presentation. So we should along with the administration, the passion about the technology and scientific is must. Like that, I learned from these three presentations which we have seen. So really thankful to you, sir. And my question one is based on the running technology, exactly where India is about presently, the system compared to the developed countries. Means people are usually tell Israel, Singapore, Taiwan, and all those things are the small countries. We are using so much of technology. So where we are really lacking in which area we need to develop more. So current system, I need to know about the administrators where we need to develop more.
Do you think we are backward in IT information technology, sir?
No, we are running, but we are very. But really, where we need to, there is some should be lacking in the area. So where really in which area particularly lacking, and we how we need to develop, and exactly because they know more compared to us.
Okay, fine. Now, can I request any of our speakers to answer this question?
Jayesh, would you like to respond?
So, see, there are two things. One is that in our country, we have not created digital infrastructure to reach 100% of the population, which is now happening. In fact, I mentioned in my presentation also that there is a national program called Digital India. So one of the important component of this Digital India is called BharatNet, under which internet is being taken to every panchayat. And in Telangana, one special thing is that we are extending the Digital India program to ensure that every household is connected, not just every panchayat, but every home in that panchayat is also connected with reliable internet services. So because of COVID, there has been some kind of delay in completing the works, but we are very confident that, so we are in April now. I'm sure that by March, by March of next year, we will be able to complete this. And many other states are also doing the same. So this is one very important thing, that if you want people to use technology, they must have connectivity, they must have digital infrastructure. So that is one part, which is the supply part. But the more important question is that even if you create digital infrastructure, how do you ensure that every citizen is able to utilize technology? Suppose I'm a simple villager living in some remote village. And if someone tells me that, look, tomorrow you are going to get broadband to your home. Now, 99% chances that I am not going to jump in joy and I rush out and I buy one iPad, I buy one iPhone. For hundreds of people, thousands of people, lakhs of people, the value of technology is not immediately understood. So the more important is to create buy-in from them that this technology of use to us. So when I mentioned in my presentation that we are using agriculture as an entry point, try to provide technology-enabled solutions to all the challenges people face in agriculture. And by doing this for various other segments also, for example, education, healthcare, livelihoods, skilling, when we are able to show that technology can help you in these ways. If there was no technology, you were struggling like this. Because technology has come, you have moved this much. That will help us in convincing the people that if broadband is coming to your home, invest in some device so that you can use that broadband. And in Telangana, there is one more thing which we are doing. We have done it in about 1,000 panchayats so far. That even if you do not want to invest in any personal device, we will create an assisted facility. So in 1,000 panchayats, we have what are called digital Telangana kiosks, where a woman entrepreneur from that area helps the community in transacting various kind of requirements using the internet. So this is how things are. Once digital connectivity goes to every panchayat, every household eventually, the adoption of technology, the usage of technology, the ability to use technology to gain personal advantages, all that will be seen there.
Great to hear that, sir. Thank you so much for answering that question. And now one last question we have from Rajesh Kumar. Rajesh Kumarji, please unmute and ask your question.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chandrasekharji, for allowing me to ask a question. And I have one small question, because we have discussed about using technology in various walks of the life, in day-to-day life. But one thing what we are actually seeing it, are we not using the technology to identify the real beneficiaries of the government welfare programs, where most of our budget is actually going there? Instead of spending on development projects, we are that's also needed. I'm not denying it, but where exactly we are spending that welfare schemes money, whom it is actually reaching? Because if anybody goes to any PDS shop, we can always see that people are coming by bikes or cars to get a free rice. Are there really eligible people, those who are getting the eligible benefits? Because all the taxpayers, all the money which is actually government is spending is public money. We should reach to the really targeted needy people. Then it will automatically increase the people's participation in welfare also. Otherwise, every time there will be people, those who are not getting any benefits, but they are paying more. For example, a salaried person will pay around 50% of his salary, apart from 30% max as a direct taxes, but another 20 to 30% as indirect taxes. So he is not getting any benefit because he is earning. But those who are getting, they are not really earning. Are we cross-checking anywhere? Because every day we are listening that we have X out of 4 crore population. If you see how many PDS beneficiaries are there, are they really that much poor? Or Telangana is poorer state? And one way, it is out of 130 crores, 80 crore people are getting the free rice. That means only 50 crore people are rich or above poor. 80 crore people are very poor, where they need some kind of a support on day-to-day basis.
I think
I think the question is understood. I think we can address it. Let me address it very quickly, and I think other panelists may supplement. There are two aspects to the question he has raised about the money or public exchequers money going into various social benefit programs. There are two aspects to it. One is there a real beneficiary, real person behind the name of the beneficiary? Is one preliminary question. The second question is, if so, there is a living person by that name and whatever is recorded. Second one is that person eligible? So these are two distinct questions. I think what we have done, my experience from as I have been in chairman of Aadhaar, shows that Aadhaar answered the first question substantially. It's not that any ghost beneficiary in the name of ghost beneficiary, which used to happen before 10 years before. Non-existent ghost beneficiary or same beneficiary getting benefit 2-3 times. Is that part one of the problem is solved with the advent of Aadhaar for various developmental programs where the government money is going, right? So that's part. There's a substantial progress, I would say, that money is not going to some ghost accounts and ghost people. Second is eligibility criteria. It's a second question, which is a bit challenging, equally challenging, I would say, where different states and different programs have different cutoff limits and ways of verification of that. So there probably improvements are further possible, where some beneficiaries may be, though ineligible, they are somehow getting included in the list. So my response to the question is that yes, substantial portion of the leakages that are happening have been arrested with the advent of and use of Aadhaar, while improvements are possible in the area of where is the cutoff line and is the beneficiary is really eligible or he has somehow got into the list. That improvements are possible in that space. Thanks.
Thank you so much, sir. Seeing that we don't have any more hands raised, probably we can wind up the session. Before that, on behalf of Pragna Bharati, I would like to thank Satyanarayana Garu, S.K. Joshi ji, and Jayesh Ranjan ji for taking time out from your schedule to be with us this evening and sharing your thoughts, opinions with a lot of examples and practical observations. You really have enriched us with so much of information and knowledge. I must say, we have learned so many things today through this session and your presentations. We would really love to have you on our dais once again when your time permits, sir. Thanks so much for your participation, for being with us. On behalf of Pragna Bharati, I extend that. Now, I also would like to thank Hanuman Chowdary Garu, our chairman, for his continuous support and guidance. Thanks, Chowdary Garu. And last but not the least, I would like to thank all the audience without whom this program could not have happened. So thanks once again, all of you. And we would like to see you in our next webinar. Thanks so much, everyone. Jai Bharat, Jai Hind.